Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show today. I'm really glad you could join us. So, today we're going to be diving in. We're going to be talking about how to get money to start a business. This is probably one of the most commonly asked things I'm asked. We all know that lenders are not anxious to lend to new businesses. As a matter of fact, there's not a lot of lending sources out there who are anxious to lend to new businesses. But there are actually a lot of other sources that you may know of that are absolutely not just willing, but able and specialize on financing brand new businesses. So what we're going to do is today we're going to dive in and we're going to be talking about a lot of these different financing options. We're going to be decoding them. We're going to be dissecting them. We're going to be giving you a lot of different options that you can use to be able to get money to start and grow a business. Even if you're not looking to start a business, even if you are in the beginning stages of your business or you've been open for a while, but you don't have some of the other things that make you lendable in other areas, then you're still going to find a lot of good information today about other ways that you can get money for your business. So let's get started. So first of all, my name's Ty Crandall. I'm actually the CEO here at Credit Suite. And at Credit Suite, there's two things we mainly focus on. We focus on helping companies obtain business credit to start and grow. And we also focus on helping companies obtain all different kinds of business loans. And what's cool about what we do is we work with a lot of different lenders, investors, hedge funds, a lot of different funding sources from all over the world. And in doing so, we offer so many different types of financing that we've really been able to find out in the marketplace what works and what doesn't. So that's how I have that knowledge base to be able to help tell you what I'm going to tell you today. Now, if you're interested at all in getting financing for your business, feel free to check us out, creditsuite.com/get funding. And at creditsuite.com/get funding, there's a simple online application. It's a matter of, 10 questions or so that you can complete. And then we can tell you through our finance qualifier all the funding programs that you can qualify for. We can even help you with all aspects of obtaining financing. But enough about me and enough about us. Let's get to the topic at hand. So there are a lot of different funding options available today for startup businesses. Okay, most of these loans are not offered at conventional banks, and they're not really easy to find. This is why we started Credit Suite, because what we found is that there's financing out there if you have a consistent revenue. There's financing out there if you're a startup business. There's financing out there if you have bad credit. But the problem is, if you don't know exactly what you're looking for in the marketplace, you're just not going to find it. Being able to just go out and Google certain things and find all of the options that may be available for a startup just really isn't feasible. I know, because I prepared the webinar. And when I do anything like this, I take knowledge that I have and add it to a lot of research of other knowledge I might not have. So that way I'm learning a lot of things as I'm putting together the actual show for you and doing a lot of the legwork and research so you don't have to. So it's hard to find financing out there because there's not one source that offers a lot of different financing like we do. So it's very tough to just go out organically and find the financing if it's not available at your bank, which is what you're often used to. But a lot of these sources do provide $25,000, $50,000, even over $100,000 in initial funding. And a lot of the sources you're going to learn about today even start lower, as low as $5,000 or $10,000 you're able to get, or on the high end, you're able to get $100,000, $150,000, and even higher, even as a startup business. So there's also a lot of funding options out there that you don't want to work with, that you don't even want to think about getting into as a startup, because it's just not going to work for you. And before you start looking at all for money for a startup, the first thing you want to do is you want to learn what types of funding to avoid, sources who will not approve you, so you don't even waste your time. And one of those sources is conventional banks. Conventional banks are not good sources to get funding for a startup. This means your Wells Fargo, your Bank of America, your big banks. Now, don't get me wrong. Big banks are fantastic to deal with. They provide my business and your business a ton of benefits, but they don't really specialize in startup capital. They're not really they don't really welcome a lot of startups. They typically are looking for people that have 2 or 3 years worth of tax returns, more well-established businesses. And this makes sense because conventional banks deal with very conservative risk. By default, business lending is very risky. A lot of businesses fail. So as a result of that, conventional banks just don't really deal with the kind of financing that works for startup businesses. So don't even think of walking into your bank and telling them I have good credit or whatever it may be and I want a business loan. They're probably going to deny you sometimes before they even let you apply. I talk to a lot of people that think just because they have good personal credit, they can walk in their bank and get a business loan. But you have to keep in mind that in the business lending world, there's 3 types of credit. There's your personal credit, there's your business credit, and there's your bank credit. And if you have good personal credit, it doesn't really make all that much difference in the business world unless you combine that with good business credit and bank credit. So don't think even if you do have good personal credit, you're going to walk into your bank and get a loan. They're just not favorable, especially to startups. As you do get established, they have some great products for you. Okay, another source you don't want to even mess with, and I just mentioned that they need 2-3 years with the tax returns. And at best with a bank, which I will speak upon since we're on the topic, with conventional banks, at best case, you're usually going to get a credit card. And that credit card's usually equal to the highest limit account that you have now. So if you have really good personal credit, you go into your bank, they're probably not going to give you a loan. They're not going to give you a credit line. Those type of things need tax returns. They may give you one single credit card equal to the highest limit you have on the personal side now. But you probably don't even want to mess with that because I'm going to introduce you to another source amongst these 17 or so different kind of funding products that are out there that will work much better for you than a single credit card at your bank. They usually get you 5 times that amount of money. So again, conventional banks just not the best place to go. You know, cash flow financing should also be avoided. This is called a lot of things: merchant advances, merchant cash advances, cash flow financing. We call it revenue lending. And this really applies to people that are advertising that they can help you get money regardless of personal credit. I see these ads on Facebook. I see these ads online a lot of places now. And the ad kind of reads something like, you know, get up to $500,000 for your business regardless of personal credit. Well, those type of financing programs are focusing on you having consistent revenue. They need you to be in business a year. They need you to have $10,000 a month in deposits. If you don't have these things, they're not going to approve you. So those are the 2 most common types of financing you may think of: what's available at your bank and what you see advertised and marketed mostly nowadays, which has to do with revenue or cash flow based financing, which won't work if you haven't been in business a year and don't have consistent cash flow. If you do have consistent cash flow of 10 grand a month or more and been in business a year, those are some great options to pursue. But if you don't, then that option really won't work for you. And conventional financing won't work for you unless you have good credit and tax returns, which is a startup you won't have. So private investors are not keen on lending to startups either. I hear this a lot of times. Well, I'm looking for an investor to invest in my startup. Well, usually even private investor money, or what we call alternative SBA type financing, they still are looking for 2 to 3 years of tax returns. That's what they want. So for me to get you approved at a private investor, if you have a pretty average credit or even good credit, if you have 2 to 3 years worth of tax returns that show some profits, then chances are good we can get you approved for this kind of money. But if you don't have this, then don't just think you're going to go find some investor that wants to invest in your concept or idea. Now, don't get me wrong, venture capital is out there, but it's not typically an option with the startup unless you truly have a really groundbreaking product. And have you ever watched the show Shark Tank, which a lot of you I'm sure do because as entrepreneurs, we all tend to love that show, then you see the same thing. They talk about their concept, and one of the first things that comes out of one of the shark's mouths, one of the first questions is always, tell us about your sales. And there's a reason for that, because a lot of entrepreneurs have great ideas and great concepts, but they really are not very good at executing and running a business. And I see a lot of this in the restaurant business. I see phenomenal chefs who start their own restaurant and fail because even though they're phenomenal at cooking food, they're not good at running a business. And this is what a lot of venture capital, this is what a lot of private investors are looking for. They're looking for a proven concept. They're looking for not just something that you have a good idea and a good concept, but that you've already proven you can sell. You already proven you have the ability to run a business selling that product or service. If you have no established sales, then believe it or not, even though a lot of people think private investor money and venture capital is the way to go, it's just really not the way to go. Unless, again, you have some groundbreaking product that you have already have patented it, you have trademarks, and you have those type of things, well, then maybe they will consider it. But if you don't have a real groundbreaking type of product, then venture capital and private investor money is really off the table as well, because again, they're looking for more established businesses just like banks are. So now that we've talked about what not to look into, let's talk a little bit about what kind of financing is available for you. And again, some of the stuff we talk about early on might not even relate to you. You might say, this doesn't work for me, this doesn't work for me. And I saved some of the other ones that work for almost any type of scenario till the end. So even if you see some of the beginning here that don't apply to you, that's okay. We're going to go over a lot today that a lot of you on the call will actually be able to qualify. Others might not. And then as we get into other type financing, we'll talk about type of financing, credit, things that anybody can actually get. So collateral-based loans are a type of financing that are beautiful for startups. I mean, absolutely perfect, because rates are super low, and you can get this even regardless of your personal credit, even without any kind of cash flow. And now these are called collateral-based loans, or sometimes asset-based financing. And this has to do with if you have, or somebody you know that maybe want to invest in the business has some kind of collateral or assets. So don't write this type of financing off just because you say, well, I don't have any collateral or assets. Well, here's the thing. If you have a good business model or have people around you that believe in you, they may be willing to pledge those assets as collateral to get you financing. So this is an exceptional type of financing for startups because rates are really low. Rates on this kind of financing are lower than you'll find anywhere else on any other kind of product. So why that's a big deal is that rates are usually less than 5%. And as a startup, this is important because you want your payments to be as low as possible on the financing you get so you can get through your ramp up period and you can get to a point where you're generating the revenues and profits to be able to pay for the financing. So low rates are very important. And when it comes to this kind of financing, rates are lower than you'll even find on SBA loans, lower than any other type of financing that exists today. And personal credit quality doesn't even matter. So even if you have bad credit, then it doesn't even matter. You can still get approved for super low rates with this kind of program. You'll need to have some type of collateral, some type of asset to qualify. And again, even if you don't, then you might find others that are wanting to invest in your business that are willing to pledge that so you can qualify. So you can use some type of personal collateral that you may have now, including a 401k or stocks, for example. And we'll talk a little bit more about these programs individually. You can also talk a little bit more, or we can also use any type of business collateral you have to qualify as well. So maybe you have account receivables, maybe you have purchase orders, maybe you have inventory. Those type of things can be used as collateral as well to qualify for collateral-based financing. And we'll jump into a little bit more of these specifically so I can give you more details. But even if you don't have these types of assets now, again, you might have a partner, a friend, a family member who does. So sometimes this is often what I hear. When we look at statistically where startups get their money, they usually use their personal credit, their personal money they have in the bank, and friends and family. But here's the deal. Maybe you don't want to go to your friend or family member to take money out of their bank account to give to you. Well, maybe instead your friend has stocks or has a 401ks or has another kind of collateral asset, and maybe it's easier for them to pledge that asset to help you get financing than take money out of their own bank account. Again, something you really should consider, because the majority of people that start businesses rely on family and friends. So instead of relying on their cash, this gives you other means to see if they have assets and collateral you could basically use as leverage to help you fund the business. And that person may be interested in letting you leverage their asset in return for even a piece of your business. So maybe they'll come to you and go, look, I got a great idea. You believe in me. If you like this idea, then hey, look, you've got those stocks, you've got that 401k, for example. Why don't you let me help use that as leverage to put some funds in to start this business? And in return, I'll give you 5% ownership or 10% ownership. And then you can get distributions every year and take money out of the business as a reward. So again, maybe they're family and friends and don't want anything in exchange. Maybe they do. But again, this is an open idea and an open concept. And you have to be open to these type of things, because when you're starting a business, there's not a lot of people that are just going to give you tons of money. So you want to be open to these kind of concepts and ideas, because if you're going to rely on friends and family, you're relying on their assets as leverage instead of their cash might make it easier for you to get money from them. So 401k financing is a perfect example of this. It's often used where you have two people that are going into business together. They need to put cash into the business. They both, let's say, have a 401k where they're both able to use 401k financing to put equal amounts of money in the business as equal partners. Now, that's an example of something we see actually commonly. Okay, but it doesn't have to be an equal partner. It doesn't even have to be somebody you give equity to in the business, just some ideas relating to how you could use this kind of financing. So let's dive into the specifics here. So security-based financing, you're basically using existing stocks. You're using existing stocks or bonds as leverage to get business financing. You can borrow as much as 90% of the value of the actual stocks themselves, and you'll continue to earn interest on the stocks you're pledging as collateral. So it's kind of pretty fantastic because what you're doing is you're saying, look, I have stocks I want to use as collateral. And the result of that is they say, okay, what's your stocks worth? $100,000. Okay, we'll give you a $90,000 loan using those as collateral. You continue to keep your money invested into the same stocks. You continue to earn interest just as you always have. Nothing else changes beyond the fact that we're going to give you 90 of the 100,000 of value in your stocks. But keep in mind, if you default, we're going to take back the actual value of the stocks. So you're just using it as collateral to offset the lender's risk. You still get all the benefits you'd normally have of having stocks, including keeping invested in the same stocks and getting the same return you're getting now. Closing and funding usually takes less than 3 weeks with this kind of financing, and rates are typically less than 5%. We are right now currently in the process of doing a $250,000 deal for a business using this kind of financing. That's pretty cool. You know, this is a company that went to their bank, couldn't get a dime lent to them, right? And now they come to us. We're helping them use this kind of financing to get $250,000 in financing. So something you won't see publicized out there because the people that are brokering loans don't make a lot of money on this kind of financing, but a fantastic option for you or somebody you know to invest into. Another one I mentioned was 401k financing. This is when you use an IRA or a 401k as collateral to get financing. And this uses IRS proven strategies where you'll pay no tax penalties. Now, this is kind of a play off of how you could use your 401k, not necessarily a real straight loan. You're basically using your 401k to buy stock in your own company versus stock in other companies, which is what a 401k is. You're buying stock in other companies, but instead you're shifting it where you're buying stocks in your own companies, and you're shifting it over and then able to access that actual money that's in your 401k. What's nice is you're still able to earn the same interest that you're getting now, and you're also going to pay rates less than 5%. Like the last program we talked about, you can close in less than 3 weeks on this program. You can also borrow 100% against whatever's rollable within your 401k. What does rollable mean? It means if you have a 401k with $20,000 in it and $10,000 is still attached to your current employer, well, then that's not rollable. Anything that's attached to your current employer can't be rolled over. But let's say you left that employer and now the 401k is all yours, or let's say only half of your 401k is with your employer. 100% of what's not attached to that employer, what's not rollable or what is rollable, you can actually finance against. Okay, another type of financing that might work very well is account receivable financing. Now, with this kind of financing, you're basically getting money against outstanding account receivables that you have, and getting financing for your business. So what happens is you get as much as 80% of your receivable value advanced to you in less than 24 hours, and the rest of this is then sent to you as soon as the actual creditor pays their bill. So let me give you a couple of different examples here. I met this weekend with a buddy of mine that's a primary care physician, and we went out and we were talking about business financing, and I introduced him to this, and he knew nothing about it. And I said, well, do you get a lot of your business from Medicare, Medicaid, and health insurance? He said, oh yeah, the majority of it. I said, well, how long do you wait to get paid on that? And he laughed at me because it's a laughable question. He knew and I knew that it was weeks or not months before he gets paid. And I said, well, with account receivable financing, the lender would advance you 80% of those funds the next day. So instead of you waiting 3 months for Medicare and Medicaid to pay you, you get 80% of the money tomorrow. Then the next 20, then the lender would collect for Medicare, Medicaid, health insurance companies themselves. And then once they collected the whole balance, they would pay you 20% minus their fee. This also could work for somebody, for example, in the construction business, or there's a lot of businesses that deal with government receivables or other businesses. And if you have receivables from other businesses or the government, then you can qualify for this program. So again, maybe you're a commercial lawn business where you cut big buildings grass for their whole complex and they don't pay you for 2 months or 3 months. Well, then this is an example of, hey, you got a big account, but now you don't have to float that money for 2 or 3 months. Now you can get that money advanced to you the next day. The rest of it comes to you once that actual whoever it is that you have the business with actually pays the invoice. So closing usually takes about 2 weeks or less, and you can get factor rates as low as 1.33% on this. So again, in a lot of cases, you can get very, very, very cheap financing on this kind of program. Your receivables need to be from the government or another business. It won't work as an individual. So a lot of my friends own credit repair companies, for example. Well, that won't work for them because their receivables are with other consumer customers, not business customers. If they were dealing with businesses or the government, well, then they could actually get financing against those account receivables. Now, if you have purchase orders as well, you can get financing to get those filled so you won't need the cash to do so. So let's say, for example, you're starting your business. You have a great idea. You have orders. Now you have to fill those purchase orders, but you don't have the money to do so. Well, there's purchase order financing where you could get the money to fulfill your purchase orders. Then you could deliver your product and get paid. So this is another way that you could get money to buy the stuff you need to actually use to sell to the customer or produce the order without having to physically pay up front. And both of these are great options to get you money instead of you using your actual cash flow to do so. And that's the problem with this. A buddy of mine does all of the plastic mugs at Busch Gardens. So like when you go and buy like a $8 drink with like a fancy Busch Gardens mug, he's the one that makes those. But the problem with that is that he gets a big order from Busch Gardens. He has to order all the plastic. He has to manufacture the glasses. He delivers the order to them and still doesn't get paid for 2 or 3 months. So from when the order comes in to the time the order is paid, it could be 3-4 months. During that time, he's using his cash flow. He's using money in his business to do that and fulfill that order. Well, this is a great option where you don't have to rely on that cash flow. Instead, you can get financing, leaving that cash flow in the business for other purposes, including to grow. Now, you can also use your existing inventory as collateral for business financing. You'll need inventory valued at $500,000 or more. You could even use inventory financing to help you purchase inventory if you have the other half down. Okay, so you can get approved for a line of credit for 50% of whatever your inventory value is. So if you have $500,000 in inventory, you can get a $250,000 credit line. Very, very, very tough to get credit lines that are that high of an amount regardless of your personal credit. But this is very possible with inventory financing. Rates are usually 5 to 15% depending on the type of inventory you have. The type of inventory you have is going to determine the actual risk. And you can get funding within 3 weeks or less with this kind of program. This is so rare. There's less than 2 sources in the entire country that offer this kind of financing. And that's what's nice about this kind of show that we're doing today is you're just not going to find this on your own because there's just not very many sources at all in the country that even offer this type of program. But if you do have a bunch of inventory, you're buying a business that has a bunch of inventory, you need to buy a bunch of inventory. This is a great option because it's a lower rate credit line you can use you can get regardless of your personal credit. Now, you can also get financing to purchase or lease new equipment, even as a startup. Now, this is important because a lot of people say, I need money to start my business. And I say, well, how much money do you need? Well, I need $50,000. Okay. Well, what do you need to buy it for? Well, I need to buy $30,000 worth of equipment. Well, then you don't really need $50,000 in money. You need $30,000 in equipment financing and another $20,000 in cash. So that's different. And you can get financing for the specific purpose you're trying to use it for, such as to buy or lease equipment. And in a lot of cases, you only need as little as a first and last month payment as down payment. So if you have even average or better credit, you don't have to put a lot of money down to buy the equipment you need. It's usually the equivalent of first and last month's payment. So a friend of mine is starting a brand new business selling medical equipment. And this was her scenario. She actually happens to have better credit. So what I said is, look, we'll get you equipment financing so you could get the equipment. They're going to need first month and last month's payment down. Then we'll get you unsecured financing so you could use that to pay for the first and last month's payments. So now you don't have to pay anything. We get you equipment financing. They need a down payment of first and last month. We get you another kind of financing to pay for the first and last month, and you can get everything you need without any cash out of pocket. And I'll show you the other type of financing that we obtained for her as a startup in a minute. So rates vary wildly based on risk factors. I've seen equipment rates, 5 to 8%. I've seen them 60% or higher, depending on the actual risk of the deal. But the good news is you can get this kind of financing even with challenge credit as as a startup, it's better and easier for you to have average credit or better to get approved, because they're often going to want 650 type credit scores as a startup, even though you could really get financing as low as, into the mid 500s if you're not a startup or you have some other factors that offset the actual risk. Now, if you already own equipment free and clear, you can use that as collateral to get financing. So you're basically selling the equipment to a lender for cash, then leasing it back from them. They call this an equipment sale leaseback for that obvious reason. You're selling the equipment to the lender's leasing the equipment back to you. Okay, so this is a great way to, let's say if you have equipment now that's not like an office printer, but a larger piece of equipment that has some value, or maybe again, you have a friend, a family member, a partner, somebody else that wants to be part of your business that happens to have some equipment. Now, you can't use vehicles. You can't use an RV. You can't use a trailer. Those are depreciating assets, so they won't work. But real equipment that you own, maybe a backhoe or maybe a big printing press or something like that, you can use to borrow against to get cash financing. You can even use somebody else's equipment. If you know somebody that they want to give you that equipment to use to fund your business, you can even go that route as well. You'll need to have at least one larger piece of higher value equipment to qualify, not a bunch of little small pieces of equipment like printers, for example. And funding can happen in as little as 3 weeks with this program. Now, there's other types of collateral that can work for financing as well. So let's say if you're an investor, you're looking to buy residential properties and flip them. If you have some money in the bank, 20, 30 grand, you have experience, you have average credit, then there is a program out there called a house reseller program where you can actually get 100% of the money you need to actually buy and flip the property. So you can get 100% of the money you need to buy the property and all the money you need to rehab and fix the property to flip it. Very specific to real estate investors, works very well if you do have experience with flipping homes. You got to have money in the bank, average credit of like 650 scores or higher. You can also get financing against commercial real estate. So we have a client today that we're talking to that owns 2 pieces of commercial real estate free and clear. We're talking to him about getting a line of credit or a loan against that to use to buy other property. So this is a very good asset you could use as collateral for financing. Book of business financing as an insurance agent works very well as well. This is something very few insurance agents know about, but you should know about it if you're in the insurance business or even thinking about starting in the insurance business. Because with this type of financing, you're using your book of business as collateral to actually borrow against. And the terms are pretty good, actually. 3, 4, 5-year loan terms with even average credit of like mid 600 credit scores. You can get pretty good rates as well. I've seen them as low as 5, 6% to 12% range. And it works very good. So let's say A, you're an insurance agent that has a book of business now, or B, you're looking to buy an insurance agency. This works either way. So if you're an insurance agent now looking to buy another insurance agency, this is a phenomenal way to expand your practice. You can go out there and find existing agencies with books of business, use their book of business to get collateral to buy and finance basically the purchase of their business. So if you are in the insurance business, if you know somebody that is, if you're looking to get into the insurance business, phenomenal type of financing you can use to either start an insurance business, you could use to buy out another insurance business, you could use to borrow against the actual insurance or the actual book of business that you currently already have. Now, this personally is my favorite type of financing for a startup. It's the most common I've seen used. We do this program probably almost as much as any other funding program out there. Every month, it's one of our 1 or top 2 types of financing it's out there. And so you're going to see more slides on this because there's a lot to this program. It's pretty phenomenal. So unsecured financing provides some of the highest loan amounts that you're ever going to find for startups. And let me go back to that. You usually can get loans for $100,000 to $150,000 on the high end. Now, on the low end, you can get $5,000, $10,000 loans. I see 30, I see 50, I see 75 a lot. $100,000, $150,000 per individual that's actually applying. Plus, the awesome thing about this is you're getting 0% financing for 6 to 18 months. So again, I love this kind of financing because as a startup, you need to have the lowest payments you can get. And you're not going to have any payments lower than a 0% interest. It's as low as they go. So for 6 to 18 months, you can get 0% financing, keeping your payments low with this kind of financing. And what's ultimately happening is you're getting business credit cards. with stated income. You don't need tax returns. You don't need bank statements. You don't need to show a bunch of collateral or a bunch of cash flow coming into your business. You don't need to have any kind of collateral to qualify. Fantastic way to get money. And these are business credit cards that actually report to the business credit reporting agencies, not the personal credit reporting agencies. So what happens is you could use these, max out the credit card, and you would have no adverse impact at all to your consumer credit scores, which is pretty phenomenal. So these report to the business reporting agencies. You can use the credit as need be. It doesn't report to the consumer, so you have no adverse effects there. So that gets you access to even more money without a personal guarantee, because what's happening is not only are you building or you getting money, but you're building your business credit at the same time. So now you're getting 50,000, 100,000 in financing. You're building your business credit, which then in turn will help you get even more financing without a personal guarantee as your business credit gets established. So you can usually get about 5 times the amount of whatever your highest credit limit account is, up to about 150 grand. That's the highest I've seen, is up to 150 grand per individual. So let's say you have 2 partners in your business. Well, each of you might get 150 grand. And I had that happen once. I had 2 guys that were starting a record recording studio, and they needed like $200,000. This is a startup, which was laughable. No, everybody they talked to laughed at them. We found a way to use this program with both of them as signers to get them the money, and it worked very well. And they're doing very well. This was probably about 5-6 years ago. So this is a great way to get financing, because you get 5 times the amount of your highest credit card limit that you have now. Now, why does that matter? Well, remember I told you if you have good credit, you walked into your bank as a startup, that the highest amount they were going to give you is they're going to give you 1 credit card equal to the highest limit consumer credit card account you have now. Well, with this program, you get 5 times the amount that you'd ever get at a conventional bank. And unlike conventional bank credit cards that most of them don't report to the business credit reporting agencies, these do. So you build your business credit, get about 5 times the amount that you get on your own. Again, this is the highest amount of financing you'll ever typically see as a startup. For a brand new startup with no collateral to come in and get $150,000 or higher, I have not really found it's possible with other financing other than this type of financing. And again, you'll usually get 5 times the amount on if you're trying to apply for your own credit cards or with your bank. And if you try to apply for your own credit cards and go through your bank, the problem there is that most of those won't report to the business credit reporting agencies. Why do I keep coming back to that point? Well, it's a big deal. Your consumer credit score, a third of it is made up of the percentage of high credit limit of your utilization. So that's the percentage of your high credit limit you're utilizing. So if you have a credit card with a $10,000 limit and you owe more than $3,000 on that card, you are really damaging your scores. And since utilization accounts for 30% of your consumer credit score, then when you go get credit cards for your business that report on the consumer credit reporting, your consumer credit reports, then as you start utilizing and using those credit cards, you'll tank your scores, which ruins your ability to get other kinds of financing. So this program is awesome because not only are you building business credit, but you're keeping your business stuff separated from your personal credit, helping you build your business credit, and meaning you could utilize these accounts without having to worry about damaging your personal score. So there's no impact on your personal credit, as we just talked about. You've got to have good credit to qualify. Now you might say, oh man, come on, I don't have good credit. Don't worry about it. This is where it's perfect for a credit partner. About 40 to 45% of the clients that we help with this program, they're not actually using their own credit to qualify. What's happening is they're actually using a partner's credit to qualify. Maybe it's a business partner, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a friend. It's anybody that wants to be part of your business, that wants to help you grow the business, that wants to help invest in the business. So again, this might just be a matter of you asking some people around you. Look, I'm looking to get my business off the ground. I have a great idea. Here it is. Here's my plan. Okay, would you be interested in being part of this? Yeah, I'd be interested. What do you need? Well, I need money to start it, but I don't want to hit you up for money. So I've got this great program that if I can use your credit as a guarantor, and you're going to be the guarantor. So if I were to default, you're going to be on the hook, but we can work out some kind of deal or whatever it may be, so you feel as comfortable there as possible. And by the way, I'll give you 5% equity in the company or 10% equity in the company, or this is the deal we'll work out. So that's the type of conversation you could start if you don't have good personal credit, but you need to have credit scores of about 700 or higher to qualify for this program, whether it be you or an actual credit partner. So another type of financing that you really should consider for a business is business credit. And business credit is phenomenal. And I don't preach on business credit because we offer business credit. It's the opposite. We offer business credit because I preach on business credit. Look, I've owned a business before and never realized before, and been in financial services for about 12 years before I realized business credit even existed. And it's a beautiful way to get money because you don't need good credit. You don't need collateral, and you don't need cash flow to get it. As a matter of fact, everything I've talked about so far, you either need cash flow, credit, or collateral to get, or you need somebody around you that's a partner, a family member, a friend to get it. But business credit's the only type of financing you don't need those type of things to get. And this is why it's really a brilliant solution for startups, because we're talking about credit that's linked to your EIN, not your social security number. So what we're talking about is building a credit profile, building a credit score for your actual business that's not linked to your social. So your personal credit doesn't matter. When you build business credit the right way, you don't even put your social security number on the application. So your personal credit scores could be 350, and that doesn't even matter because your personal credit's not even being reviewed when you're applying for business credit. What's happening is you're building some accounts that report to the business credit reporting agencies that don't need your social to get done. Those accounts report, that gives you a credit profile and score for your business. Then you can use that profile and score for your business to start qualifying and getting all kinds of actual money. Okay, so this credit's available without a personal guarantee and regardless of personal credit. So not only do you not need to have good personal credit to get it, but you can also get it regardless of whether or not you want to supply a personal guarantee. So this means you're not personally liable for what happens in your business. You could build your business up and you're not personally liable. So I'll give you an example. I talked to a guy a couple hours ago. Well, I was actually sitting here with Pat on our team, was talking to a gentleman. This guy's been in business 5 years. He's got, I don't know, $400,000 in commercial real estate he owns free and clear. And we pull his business credit report and he had one $4,500 credit card. He was so upset that this was the case and very disappointed that he has to personally guarantee everything for his business. But when we talked to him about how he had no credit report, then first he was stunned because he'd been in business 5 years, got all these loans, all these credit cards, stunned that none of it had reported. But once he realized that it hadn't, then we set a path forward for him to start building the credit of the business so he stops having to personally guarantee all these loans and credit cards that he's going to get. And what else is good about business credit is you can get it immediately even as a startup. And that's how I rank really how good these types of financing are. How fast can you get it, and how much money can you get, and what factors do you need to qualify? Well, I love business credit because you can start getting it immediately. You don't need good credit. You don't need cash flow or collateral to get it. So it works for every type of business, not just some. So you're going to start by getting what are called vendor accounts immediately. These offer places that stuff like you want, like Uline and Quill are two that offer office supplies and shipping supplies. So I'm often talking to somebody about starting a business and they say, I need $30,000. Then I say, well, why do you need $30,000? Why do you need $15,000 in office supplies and computers? And well, you can get vendor credit to get you a lot of those office supplies and computers that you're normally going to use to build a business anyways, but they help you build your business credit because they report to the actual business credit reporting agencies. And excuse me, the picture is obviously, if you're watching this, off because you can't read all the words. So for example, you can get credit for your office and you can get office supplies, computers, and you can get these cards with limits of $250 to $2,500 right away. Then these report to the business credit reporting agencies within 60 days. So that actually helps you build your business credit. So you go out and you get credit for office supplies and computers. You use it to buy the stuff you need to start the business. That reports to the business credit reporting agencies within 60 days, as little time as 30 days, as much as 90, on average 60 or less. Then you have a business credit profile and score. Then once you've done this, then you start to get real revolving store credit cards like Dell and Amazon and Walmart and BP, Chevron, Best Buy, and many more. So we right now are moving into a brand new office down here in Florida. As a matter of fact, this is the first webinar I've ever done standing in my barren new office. I look around, I have no pictures and nothing in this office yet except for my computer and my desk. And I can tell you that we've spent thousands of dollars on Amazon. On Amazon, we've been able to get our desks. We've been able to get our office supplies. We've been able to get a lot of the stuff, routers. We've been able to get Ethernet cables and all the different things that we've needed for the bathroom signs we post on the bathrooms. We bought it all on Amazon. And so this is what using business credit is all about. We're just now getting credit, or getting computers are arriving this week. Guess what? It's all bought using business credit. So this is the benefit of setting up a brand new office. Most of the cost has to do with the computers and the signs and the cables and the this and that. And using business credit, you're able to do all of those type of things. And in 60 days, you're able to get pretty high limit credit cards, $2,500, $5,000, $10,000 credit cards at places like Dell, Amazon, Walmart, that are going to be the places you're going to buy a lot of the things for the startup that you're going to need anyways. And as you continue to apply, you continue to get even more credit with even higher limits. You even get fleet credit. You get gas cards. You get all these type of things that you might think you need cash for, but you really don't. So you could go out and get another type of financing that we talked about today and get business credit to start buying all the stuff you need, and use the other cash credit for other things that you may need it for. This kind of credit can even be used to buy the things you need, again, to fund your actual business. So after you have a total of 10 accounts, then you can start to get like fleet credit at a multitude of sources. These are higher limit accounts that you can use in more places than you can with store credit. Okay, so business credit, again, is the only way you can get money without collateral, without cash flow, and without good credit. So if you're in that situation where you're on here today and you're like, look, I don't have good credit. I've went through everything you mentioned as collateral. I don't have anything there. I'm not generating cash flow yet. I can talk to my friends and family, but so far off the top of my head, I don't know anybody that has good credit, cash flow, or collateral. How can I get money? Well, the answer is business credit. It's the only answer. There's no other solution in the business space, financing space, where you can get money without cash flow, credit, and collateral other than business credit, which is why it makes it perfect, especially for startups. And again, there's a lot of other benefits from business credit as well. Anybody can see your business credit reports. I have the ability to pull business credit reports right here at will. So anybody we even talk to on the phone, we're pulling their business credit report, telling them what's on their actual phone or what's on their actual report without them even having to pay to do so. And if you're interested in that, you can even get that from us. If you go to creditsuite.com/free business credit consultation, and there's a dash between each one of those words. So it's creditsuite.com/free business credit consultation. Well, then you could even, schedule a free consult. We go through your business credit report with you. We'll give you a credit safe report at absolutely no cost. We'll review your Experian report with you. And again, all that's available at no cost. So this is available to us because we can see anybody's business credit report we want to. You can too. You have to pay a lot more for it because we do a lot more volume, but you could go to Dun & Bradstreet's website right now and pull your own business credit report. You could go to Experian, Equifax Commercial, pull your own, pull your competitors, pull your prospects, pull your clients, and they can you too. So anybody that does business with you, your competitors, your prospects, your clients, your competitors, any of these can actually pull your business credit report, which is one of the reasons you want to focus on building that. It's also essential for qualifying for loans. We see people all day, every day that are turned down for on-deck cash advances. They're turned down for business credit cards. They're turned down for a lot of different kind of financing, and some of them are lucky enough to be told that it's because their business credit isn't up to par. I just had a buddy of mine that went from having a $250,000 credit line at his bank to a $50,000. He went and applied to get more. They reduced it to 50 because they said he didn't have business credit, and he was stunned. He'd been in business 7 years, done business with all these big companies. Because he didn't have good business credit or really established business credit, they reduced the amount of money he already had outstanding. Most people aren't even able to get it. Okay, you can get high limit accounts quickly. This is why I love business credit. Probably the best thing I love the most. You can get it fast. You can get money right away. You can get revolving credit within 60 days. You can start getting fleet credit within 120 days. And these are very high limit accounts. If you have credit issues now, you're probably not used to having $5,000, $10,000 credit limit accounts. But with the business credit world, you're getting $5,000, $10,000 credit limit accounts within 60 or 90 days. And these are places like Apple and Dell and Walmart, places that you do business with now regularly anyway. So high limit accounts you can get fast. There's no personal guarantee or credit check, as we talked about. And one of the fastest ways to get money beyond if you qualify for immediate financing now. Okay, crowdfunding is another great way to get financing. Okay, this is where you post a project to a crowd and that crowd contributes money. So you say, okay, I have this great business idea. You put it on a crowdfunding site, which there's tons of them out there. And then all of a sudden, people start contributing $5 or $10 or $25 to actually help you fund your endeavor. But you got to know, to really get money, you've got to line up some investors first who are ready to contribute online to this project. A lot of people think crowdfunding, they're going to go put a project up and all kinds of people are going to give them money. And it's actually funny because well, maybe it's sad, maybe it's funny, depending on who you are. But a friend of mine in high school's mom had posted something on a crowdfunding site saying she had medical bills she needed to pay off. And then she went back and realized nobody had given any money. And she started yelling at everybody on social media, why is nobody giving money to my crowdfunding? Well, she doesn't understand it. A lot of people think they're just going to put up a project and money is going to start rolling in. How these things really work is that you're really lining up a lot of your own investors to contribute to the project. You're sharing it with your database. You're getting the people in your circle to share it with theirs. And the more of this type of money you already have dedicated that's going to come in before you post the project, that's what's needed for it to go viral. So you see these campaigns. I saw one the other day where the guy was looking for $7,500 for a birdhouse business and got $75,000. Well, the real story behind that is he already had $50,000 lined up. He already knew there was going to be $50,000 in contributions. But because he put the job where I only want $7,500 and then got 50, well, then he spread that to the media outlets. They got it. It went viral and it continued to build more and more money. So when you hear about these type of viral campaigns, it's because they either have really big networks that they're promoting them to, or they're already lining up a lot of investors to get it to go viral without people just throwing tons of money at you. So this will help you get your project to go viral if you're doing what we just talked about. And there's a lot of different platforms you can consider out there. If you go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/credit suite, and you type in crowdfunding, I've got an hour-long webinar I've done on crowdfunding that goes through all the platforms, where to apply, how to apply, all those type of details. Too many details for us to really be able to effectively dive into today. So other type of solutions as we wrap up here. Some other solutions include AngelPad. So this is for web technology entrepreneurs, and this is a type of funding source that's all they do is give money for startups that deal with web technology. Okay, BeatSpring. This is where you can get up to $20,000 in startup funding, even if you just have a good concept, even if you don't have cash flow, even if you don't have other things we've talked about here that may make you lendable. First round capital. These are for investments in the millions. If you really have something of real value that you think could really be an effective business endeavor, that you really think have a solid plan behind, you can get high level money on first round capital. So BeatSprings, when you're looking for smaller amounts, 20 grand, maybe less. First round capital is for really high amounts for startups, even if you have a concept and you're just kind of getting things off the ground. Jumpstart Foundry is where they'll give you about $15,000. And some of these are even grants. Some of them are actual loans. So some of the money is just given to you that you don't even need to pay off. So Jumpstart Foundry is another one. And Launch is another one where they have competitions and you compete against other people for startup capital, and they'll get $500,000 if you win the actual competition. So again, as startups, as entrepreneurs, we've got to be creative here. And this is a great list of things that you could be creative and start looking into some of these type of grants and competitions and other ways to get money as a startup other than just normal loans and credit that are available out there today. So in wrapping up, hopefully, as always, you got a lot of good information from the show today. That's always my goal, is that you come here and you leave with knowledge that you didn't have when you actually came in. So there are a couple resources you can actually go to get some more info. You can go to creditsuite.com/get funding, just like you see it on the bottom of the slide with no dash, to actually apply to get any of the type of loans and financing we talked about here today. You can also go to creditsuite.com/free business credit consultation. Each one of those words has a dash. creditsuite.com/free business credit consultation. And if you want to do that, we'll definitely talk to you about your business credit building. We'll show you what's on your business credit report. We'll give you a credit safe report. When you walk away, you'll have your own report. We'll go through your Experian. We can't give you the Experian report, but we can go through it with you, talk to you about what's on the actual report. And just so you know, we can't give it to you because that's Experian's requirement that we don't do that. But we can still go through those things with you. It costs you no money. We can even lay out a path for you to get all this type of financing we talked about, or to get business credit. So if we can help you in those areas, please please let us know. So again, this is Ty Crandall with Credit Suite. Thank you very much for your time today and attending the show. And as always, my goal is that you leave here with information you didn't have before you came in. And now you know of a lot of different ways you can get money to fund your startup. And again, we even talked about ways that even if you don't have cash flow credit or collateral, you can get financing. So hopefully you got some good ideas, because we'd love to see you get the money you need to fuel your dreams. So thanks again for taking the time to attend today. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.